guys, this is Ben from Seattle. So ever since I started building my koi pond, I've been doing a ton of research on kois, how to build ponds, different koi varieties, how to judge kois, and how to select a good koi. And so I've scoured the internet, I buy fish online, I've watched thousands and thousands of hours of probably YouTube already on kois, and I've read a ton of books. When I get immersed into something, I really want to get knowledgeable about it so that I can make the right decisions. I guess it's part of my OCD habit. So for me, when I enjoy something, I put everything I have into it and then share what my findings are with other folks so that, I can then share my hobby as well. One of the best books I picked up was Kohaku, Volume 1. It's a book about how to judge koi by Kodama. Very good book. It's a must-have. So lately, last few days actually, I was going through looking at the Taniguchi Grow Out koi service that is coming up, and I spent literally 2 days just kind of looking at some of the fish that are available. So this grow out service is basically you pick out a fish, at a very young age. Usually it's about 5, 7 to 9 inches, and then they will grow it out for about half a year. And so the price that you're paying is not just for the little tiny fish, but you're paying for the boarding, the feeding, and the care, the professional care that goes into growing a very big and healthy koi in the optimal conditions. So take a look at some of these fish here. These are some of the results from previous years, and you can see that you get a pretty nice fish at the end of the day. Okay, so I want to start this koi judging exercise by looking at a few sets of Taniguchi Grow Out Kohakus that are available for selection. So we'll start here with these 4 Kohakus, and I want to start with Kohakus. There's other fish within this grow out service that they provide, but Kohaku is one of the easier ones to select from because their pattern doesn't change very much from the time that they're young up until they get older. The kiwa and the sashi might get sharper or duller over time, but for the most part, the pattern is what it is. So let's label this A, B, C, and D. And for this exercise, it's good for me. It's good for anybody that's new to the koi hobby that wants to learn how to kind of pick younger fish that have higher potential. Whether your goal is to have a show fish or just to have a really nice pond fish, I think it is a very important skill to learn how to have a good eye for picking good koi at a young stage, because when you pick them younger, you can actually pay a much better price, right, than when they get to 20-inch or larger. So anyhow, let's get back to these 4 fish here and see if you can pick out which fish is the most expensive fish, and then we'll go back and detail why I think they're priced out the way they are. So go ahead and do that. I'll give you about 5 seconds here to kind of look at it, or pause the video and look at it much longer than you need to. Okay, so have you made your selection? Just pick out the most expensive fish and then the least expensive, and we'll go from there. So let me scroll down. Excuse me. Here you will see the prices associated to each of these fish. A is $350. B is $1,200. That's a lot of money for a 5-inch fish, 7-inch fish, excuse me. C is $780, and then D is $720. So the prices to me reflect what Taniguchi has already done. He's already culled hundreds and hundreds of fish to get to this point. And from his experience, his eye, and his selection process, he knows which fish will eventually grow into a tategoi or even a potential show winner. So, this fish at $1,200 B, to him, this is a very rare pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps on a Kohaku is very rare, and to have, a good-looking 5-step Kohaku is very, very rare. Kodama himself has said that if you have a 4-step Kohaku and it looks good to you, snatch it up right away. And that's because it's a very hard fish to come by. There's a lot of Kohakus out there. They're like 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. To me, 3 steps are really safe. They're good-looking fish, but kind of boring, to be honest. So let's look at this. This is a very good-looking fish. It's $1,200. It's got 5 steps on it. Good pectoral fins. Good adome back here near the tail, where there's no he on the tail fin, and then the fish C here is definitely a very nice fish as well, and much cheaper price at $780. It's still very expensive, to be honest, but I would pick this fish up in a heartbeat. It's a great looking fish. You look at the kind of the dorsal backbone here. You can see that ridge right here is going to support a fish frame that will get big, potentially. And these Meriton head spots on Kohakus are really cute, really nice, and a little bit harder to come by. So let's take a look at the $350 fish, right, and maybe find out why it's priced a lot cheaper. The Kiwa on this is very nice and sharp already for a fish this size. Fins are pretty decent, the pectoral fins. However, the dome back here is non-existent. The he is touching their tail on the red, and it seems like to me Taniguchi he prefers or prices fish that have a nice adome out very much higher than those that don't, like this one. So $350 is definitely on the low scale for this grow out service, and this is it's very nice, safe 3-step Kohaku. Be nice for anybody to own, but to Taniguchi, this is it's just not as rare or not as beautiful as something that's 6 steps. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at set number 2 and do the same thing. This is A, B, C, and D. Go ahead and take some time, look over these now that you kind of understand, from the first set, how Taniguchi prices his fish, and tell me which one of these is considered to him, the best looking fish, and has the price tag that is associated to that. So go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, scroll down to the prices. All right, so right here, this was kind of hard because all these fish were priced really comparably, and excuse me, A here is the highest priced fish, then you have B, and then D, and then you move to C. Let's first examine fish A right here. I think that it has a very nice body conformation. There's a little wonkiness happening here, but it could be just like a ripple in the water. There's not a open adome tail spot, which I don't know, kind of faults it. That's why it's probably not $1,000 and it's $650. But the pattern is very interesting. This is kind of a rare pattern right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. But this type of pattern looks fantastic on a young fish. Might not look too great on a larger, like 70 to 90 centimeter koi, because all this white will eventually be very overpowering, and these little patterns right here will turn out to be kind of dainty once the fish gets larger. So that's it's a nice fish, but later on when it gets larger, this fish might not have the nicest looking pattern. And I wouldn't worry too much about the yellowness in the face, because the white skin will definitely get whiter over time, and I wouldn't worry about it too much. There's one thing Kodama points out in his book, and he points out the eyes. It's really hard to see the fish's eyes, from the top view like this, but he says it's like looking at a beautiful lady with nice, soft, elegant eyes. So if the fish doesn't have that, it doesn't bring the judge in to examine it even deeper. Okay, so take a look at these next three fish. I find these three fish very, very comparable. To me, this fish right here, D, probably has the nicest body conformation, but fish B will probably have a very stout body, because look at that head. That's a big head, and eventually everything is going to get caught up to that head. All these fish are 6.3 inches, so he might get much more stout compared to everybody else. It could be a female, but it's really hard to tell at this stage. But notice right here, they all have comparable patterns. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. The biggest fault, and I'm not sure why Kohaku D is priced at $480, but this right fin right here that I'm circling that's a deformity. It does not match up here unless it's kind of swimming or turning, but to be honest with you, I think that's a deformity, and it's smaller than that side. So that fish will look really wonky when it gets older. So I would never buy a fish that has fins that do not match. I mean, you could buy it, but the purpose of buying these grow out fish is because you're looking for a show winner. So yeah, if I had to pick some, a fish from this page, I would probably go with fish B. It's in a good price range. That big head to me is going to grow up really nice. I like the head pattern. It goes past the eyes, in between the nose and the eyes, down to this spot right here. Really nice. Step pattern is interesting. It's interesting enough that it's not boring. This fish is great. I don't know if I like that body conformation, and this red heat near the tail kind of throws it off a little bit. So that's it for this set. Okay, here we go with set number 3. Same thing again, A, B, C, D. We'll keep the labeling consistent and easy. Take a look at these 4 fish, and then go ahead and pick out which one you think is the most expensive fish and which one you think is the least expensive fish. And then I'll reveal what the prices are. Okay, did you make your pick? Let's take a look. Okay, here we go. So fish A is actually the most expensive, then B, then C, then D. Let's examine why. So to me, let's start with fish A. To me, fish A is a very safe 3-step Kohaku. And it's got everything here that hits all the marks for a good fish. The reason why it's not $1,500 probably is because it doesn't have a very interesting pattern. The body conformation is good. The adome here is nice and clear. That's exactly what judges are looking for. Pectoral fins are nice and even. And the sashi in front, I don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to connect? Is it going to be a little bit kind of fuzzy here? Kiwa is very nice in the back. And the head pattern is beautiful, but this, I think, right here, this sashi right in front is what keeps this fish from being a lot more expensive. However, it's a very safe bet. Fish B right here is, to me, this fish has got the best pattern that I saw, in this entire bunch. And there's a lot more fish than what you see here, but I spent 2 days going through all these fish, and this fish right here is my favorite in terms of its pattern. And the pricing is not, it's not terrible either. When it comes to Kohaku, one thing I forgot to mention is that the dorsal fin right here on all these fish should not have any red. They should be all white. And if there's some red on it, it's a little bit of a demerit to the judges. So not a ton, because pattern is not as important as body conformation, skin, and then pattern, and then everything else. Fins. This fish to me is beautiful. I think that it's priced at $580 and not, say, $1,500 like some of the other ones that are listed is because of a couple problems that it has. One, it has a ripped fin. That could heal over time. You see this right here? That's a little bit ripped. And then the face, if you zoom into the face, it actually has either some kind of fungal problem or injury that has caused the face to burr. And I really had to zoom into this quite a bit to be able to see that. But otherwise, this is my favorite fish amongst all of the other ones. Don't care for C. I think it's a little bit too thin. The shiroji here, still pink. I don't know how well the white's going to come through on that fish. Not really a big fan of D either. The pattern, not too bad. I'm not going to demerit for those pectoral fins being all wonky, because it could just be adjusting and swimming. But I don't find this fish very interesting. To me, B is number one. And look at this spine, the dorsal spine on this fish. You can see how bright it is, and that shiroji is already turning super white. So I know the skin on this fish is going to turn out great. I don't know. The only thing holding me back from actually pulling the trigger on this fish is this face that has this injury. I don't know what the extent of it is, whether it's going to actually recover from that or not. So, I'm not going to buy a fish that I don't feel 100% comfortable with, especially at that price, right? I mean, I know that kois can get into the tens and thousands, if not millions of dollars. So $580 is not a ton of money for some people. It is for maybe some newcomers and myself. $580 is a lot of money for a fish in general, right? So, if you're going to pick a fish that you think you're going to show eventually, you want it to kind of hit all the marks that you're looking for. Not exactly be perfect, but get close. Okay, so here's one last thing to really test you on your ability to pick young Kohaku. I have Koi A and Koi B. And take a look at this. Really study them and see if you can pick out the fish that is worth more. Go ahead and take a few seconds to do that. Okay, did you make your selection? All right, let's first examine Koi A. This is a 1, 2, 3-step Kohaku. Really nice white shiroji, which is the white skin. Very nice head pattern that reaches down to a very good point on the fish's nose, and the he is very strong. Great kiwa, great sashi. I mean, this is a very clean line fish. Overall body shape is very nice as well. I'm going to dismiss this as the fish kind of swimming, so its pectoral fin doesn't look as even as the other one. But this is a fantastic looking fish. Okay, let's move on to Koi B. This is also a nice looking fish, and it's a 1, 2, 3-step Kohaku. The head pattern reaches just the eyes, and the pectoral fins here are nice and even. The adome back here is actually very good as well. It also has nice sashi and kiwa as far as the red pattern goes, the he pattern, and it's a good looking fish, and it has a very big head to it, which means that the fish could potentially grow a lot bigger. So between these two fish, I mean, to the naked eye and to the untrained eye, I mean, they look exactly the same in photos, right? However, in actuality, these two fish, I chose them because this is the most expensive fish and the least expensive fish from the Taniguchi Grow Out service that they provide. Can you guess which one is which? Well, I'll show you. So fish A is $2,300 US. Fish B is $350. Pretty insane, right? I mean, the subtle differences are not enough to be able to warrant almost a $2,000 delta between the two fish. However, that's the case here. We have a very expensive $2,300 fish and a very affordable, if you had to look at it, $350 Kohaku in comparison. Everything looks pretty good compared to the $2,300 fish, but it's $350. So I mean, something like this can really trip up a brand new buyer who's shopping just for fish online, because you're not seeing the fish in person, so you can't really put them side by side and then say which fish is so much better that you're willing to pay $2,000 more for it. So yeah, I mean, hopefully this is a good exercise for you. I think it's a pretty fun exercise to do. And if you're really into koi and you really want to learn how to develop a good eye at picking out young koi, but I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I shared it. So maybe the next time we'll do a different variety, like a Showa or a Sankei. Till the next time, this is Ben from Seattle. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. Take care. Bye-bye.